Well, Bradley Grunner coming back on the channel to talk about the state of marriage today in 2025. Well, we know it's in trouble. We know what it could be, what it should be, and we see when we look around, we see what it is. Boy, rough stuff. Hey, if you're liking this content, give me a like, subscribe, give me a comment below. Let's get to it.
Marriage, besides establishing fatherhood, it also connects you to society. It also offers all kinds of other benefits. I mean, you're not just an individual now. You have children, you have in-laws, you have friends and other bonds from a community. You can also be a family part of a religious institution, such as a church or whatever other religion you're involved in. So, I mean, what I know now is that
And just real quick, like churches and probably synagogues and mosques, or I don't know much about them, but I know churches for sure, they are built on families. Like
yes,
if you are not, husband, wife, children, blah, 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 like yes, you're welcome into the church, but you're like the main building blocks of a church are the families. Like that's what it takes to have,
yes,
a normal church really.
exactly. So, I mean, I'll say this is that I neither right now encourage or discourage marriage. I mean, under these circumstances, I can't just say, even as a married man, yes, do this, right? But
Mm,
I also will not say, don't do this, because all of the benefits that marriage gives someone, as I said before, just now,
yeah.
what it does for your life, though, and all the great things that come from marriage. And now, this is kind of funny. We'll just throw this in there. Is that I discussed this with Dr. Baskerville also? Is that when you put that quote from Bernard Shaw, and even Dr. Daniel Lemnais quotes this from Bernard Shaw. Would you
Mm.
like to read it, or I should read it? Have the tendency?
Yeah,
Yes,
because so it's a quote about like do women need men today? Do they even want men really deep down? And so it was a quote by George Bernard Shaw saying he's talking about two classes of women. He says in this two classes of women are concerned those who though they have no desire for the presence or care of children, nevertheless feel that motherhood is an experience necessary to their complete psychological development and understanding of themselves and others. So, talking about there's one kind of woman who they don't really want children, but they feel like that's part of being a woman, so they should experience that. Sounds like a very selfish woman. Like, anyway, so
yeah,
that says the second kind of woman, and those who, though unable to find or unwilling to entertain a husband, would like to occupy themselves with the rearing of children. So he says, so the second kind is like they don't really want to be married, they don't want to be wives, but
right.
they really want to have a child, like they want to be a mother. And he says, in my own experience of discussing this question, leads me to believe that the one point on which all women are in furious secret rebellion against the existing law is the saddling of the right to a child with the obligation to become the servant of a man. So it's like they want to have a child, but they don't want to become the servant of a man in order to do
Yes,
it. That, and so I thought that was an interesting quote. I've even told my pastor. I sat down at lunch with him a few weeks ago, and I was telling him, I said, I don't. I think the average woman is very interested in being a mother, but I don't think the average woman today in 2025 is very interested in being a wife because a wife is a job description. And I don't even think half of our women today in 2025 could even name, a quarter of the qualifications to be a wife. Like that is a job description, and it has to
right,
do just with your obligations to your husband. Nothing to
right.
do with the kids, nothing to do with that kind of stuff, right? So, um, yeah, I think we're in a tough spot as far as that goes.
Yes, I think it is a very tough spot because even the media, much of the media is infused with messages that being a wife and a mother is something that is low. That's what I've seen, actually,
Mm,
not the path to go, or not the foremost priority. Because even if you see the average age of, let's say, women birthing children keeps going up, and
mm,
marriage age keeps going up as well, and
mm.
they're talking about a fertility crisis. This is not the way to correct it. This is not the way that it's going to be corrected.
Do you think it's a wife and mothers look down upon if that's the only thing you are? Because it seems like the thing that's glorified some is I'm this working boss babe and I have children. Like, I don't think that's really looked down upon at all.
Right.
It's just I'm a trad con stay at home wife making sourdough bread for my husband or whatever. Like, that's like,
Yeah, I
oh,
see.
that's
I
horrible
see.
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if someone puts it as the foremost priority, I mean, that's the sense that I'm getting. I mean, perhaps, I mean, I'm not exposed to everything. I cannot consume all kinds of media out there. I'm just saying that that's the gist that I get. If a
Yeah.
woman puts that as the foremost concern or priority over the career, I don't mean a woman who is the sourdough baking, that whole sourdough thing, as if that's all we're going to
That's
be.
so
There's
ridiculous.
plenty of other meals to eat besides toasted sourdough bread with butter or something. I don't know why I keep on hearing about sourdough. There are many other things to make
It,
bread.
it's just a grift.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
On it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think that's looked down upon, and I think that I used to listen to Susan Vanker, who we're going to discuss also a little bit here. Is that I remember her saying things about that as well because I used to listen to her, and I think that she has a good grasp of what the
Mm.
popular media, or I think she's a good fact finder also on like what's going on in this
Yeah.
realm of
I
life.
really like her.
Yes,
Yeah. I
yeah,
like her content.
right. Because one thing that she had good, and I think that perhaps if a man doesn't want, let's say, not a full trad wife, but let's say a wife who's prioritizes being a mother and a wife over career. I don't mean not working. I don't mean not working. I mean
Yeah.
that this is very important, maybe even more important than career, but still has a career or a job, as we call it. So,
Mm.
I think that it's still very important that a woman works because not a tradcon wife, because most men are not rich. In many
Yeah.
areas of the country, if you're not rich, you cannot have the tradcon wife staying home all day making
Mm.
sourdough bread. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but
Or you're gonna live, a very meager existence, and then most women are not interested in living that kind of meager existence. And I think
right,
that's why our birth rate's so low, is because, people are not willing to live that meager existence to live that traditional
yeah,
family type of
right,
way, you know?
right. I mean, yeah, this could go in all kinds of different directions, and I want to get back on track for a moment. But I believe it's something that you brought up just now that is important because you have to also take into account, well, meager existence or whether it's lavish, meager, whatever. But I mean, there still is expenses in terms of supplying the children with a full life. I don't mean, let's say, a privileged, luxurious life, but there are still activities. There's still my children are involved in soccer, dance, swimming lessons. I mean, I don't want to have my children in my backyard only. I want my children to bond with other children and be involved in activities or maybe even foster their talents. Like even my son, he
Mm,
loves swimming. He loves dancing. So we have him in dance class. We have him in swimming.
okay.
My daughter, he also goes to the soccer little league, even though he's not really into the soccer, but still it provides some
Yeah.
athleticism and exercise and bonding with other kids. My daughter loves dance actually. So I mean, these things do take they're expenses these days. And even if you want to send your kid to a religious school, such as, let's say, Catholic school, the Catholic
Yeah.
schools used to be very cheap in this country, and now they're the same cost as a private school. That used to
Really?
be, yes, some of them are very
Wow.
expensive. Where
Okay,
Catholic,
yeah, because I thought usually the diocese helps kick in money to fund the schools
yes,
and
but
whatnot.
from what I've heard, some of them are moderately expensive or very expensive, depending on which
Mm,
one. But
okay.
it's not nearly as cheap as what it used to be. So unless someone has family help, I mean, it's going to be hard to do that on one income these days, especially in metropolitan areas. So
Yeah.
I think that these things are to be taken into consideration when men get paired up with their to-be wives or their wives,
Yeah.
um, and also the importance probably of consideration. Like I understand the whole gold pill thing we're going to get into, or what the woman brings to the table, economically
Yeah.
speaking, but I think that also for the first 3 years of children's lives, you do want perhaps the woman to uh, stay more at home. I don't mean not work at all. I mean, be there to raise the kids at least in the first few years of the children's lives. So these things have to be,
Yeah.
I think, plotted out in advance, as Dr. Vanker has been saying, meaning that before you get married, if you're going to get married, not encouraging or discouraging, considering what I know and what I put forth in my videos, that these things should be considered for young men, I believe, which is
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I agree. And when we say get married, that's where I've shifted my thinking quite a bit on, are we talking legal marriage or are we talking covenant marriage? Because I 100% believe that we should covenantally marry, meaning vow before God and man
Yeah.
that we will stay together and be committed to one another. And our church and our family is going to hold us accountable to these vows that we've taken, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how much I'm in an agreement that we should sign the marriage license though. That's a completely different ball of wax when we do that. That has nothing to do with God, nothing to do there is nothing in holy scripture that talks about signing a marriage license. So that's where I probably differ with a lot of people on like, well, I I don't know if I'd sign that marriage license or not. I certainly did. But I actually, it's funny now that I look back. I've been married 14 years, and I had no idea what I was signing. Then I didn't have a clue. Like I thought the only thing that mattered, being a religious man, was we go and we vow before God, and that's all that matters. And then there's like this other thing, like, oh yeah, the pastor. I didn't even know we had to sign this thing after the wedding service. Was how little I knew. Like it was like, oh yeah,
Yes.
we go back with the pastor. He's like, yeah, you got to sign this. I'm like, oh okay. I didn't even know that. Like that's how little I knew about it. You know, it's
Right.
crazy.
But now we have the information on our hands now, also, which is why I keep
Yeah.
on recommending these books that are jam packed with information about family court and the divorce regime. So
Mm.
that's part of the solution, also, meaning that understand what is going on here. But I'm in full agreement with you, meaning that if it's not going to be government marriage, there has to be some type of community or society or governmental, not the government, some type of governing body, whether it's the church or society or the community, that says that this man is the father of these children. It has to be a community thing where it's an
Oh.
understanding that this child belongs to him, and we're backing up him as a father and husband.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
believe that the support of fathers and husbands is down the drain now.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It
The,
is.
like Dr. Baskerville and Dr. Amnea said, that the society has to support the father. I don't see that these days. It's not there. It's
Yeah.
certainly not there according to the government. So,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
yes,
Yeah, and I understand what Dr. Baskerville was saying about like, the only way they used to determine paternity was who was married to the mother. Uh,
yes, exactly. Yes,
but I know, listen to like This Is Shaw. I really like his work.
yes.
That, the way we do it now is very scientific. We do a paternity test. So that's probably better. Because then we then
I
we
mean,
really
yeah, but
know.
I mean,
Yeah.
let me just ask you, do you think that's better? Because I mean, that's just the sperm donor, so to speak. It's not.
Mm,
It might not even be the man that is raising this kid or has a affectionate love for this kid. I mean, you
mm,
could still. Uh, uh, there could be a man who, this is a very major transgression, who has a adulterous wife,
yeah.
who he, in the cases that we all know of now, in which the father believes that this son or daughter is his. Years
Mm,
go by, and he finds out belatedly that the kids that he loved and cared for are someone else's, you know, offspring, biologically speaking, as we know, but
yeah.
he is the father raising them. He is the father. He's not the sperm donor.
Yeah.
So I see, that's where now that I understand like that, I could see why it would be who's there in the household with the kid already. And the
Mm,
perhaps we could have that man having the, as I understand it, what it's called right of first refusal, meaning that the man could decide, okay, these are my children. Once the man says that these are not my biological offspring,
yeah.
but that man, the man who gave birth, who sired these children, these are not his kids anymore. He's a sperm donor. He has zero custody. I have full custody. I'm the father. And now
Yeah.
I know people would say, well, that's you're just a cook. I understand when they say, oh, you're just a cook, but this man didn't know this, and he already has a bond with kids that love him.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure he loves them. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so
and I agree. I don't know if I'd agree though that if the man who is their biological father, if he would want to have some type of visitation or whatever, I think he should have some kind. Maybe it's only 2% right to or whatever, but like if he's the actual father, I think there's something important there about genetics and ties genetically. I think he should have some kind of visitation right, obviously. But not like if he just abandoned the kids and this kid's raised them, or this other man's raised them as his own for 20 years, then yeah, he shouldn't have much right to that.
Right. I see. I mean, for me, I would be more like right of first refusal, meaning that if the man did not want to raise these kids further, then it's either 100% custody with that guy or 100% custody with that guy. That's the way I
Hmm.
would see it. But anyway, that's
Okay.
besides the point. Yeah,
Yeah.
not besides the point. We're going to move on from that because we touched upon marriage quite a bit here, and that's one
Yeah.
of the areas that men should be wary of these days of what they want to do with that.
Mm. Yeah, I think
Because
I'm starting to get more on board with like Michael Sands, a buddy of mine. He talks about having a prenup if you're going to get legally married. The prenup can be a very good thing to be adults and discuss like what are the terms of this marriage that we're both agreeing to,
right,
other than for richer or for poor till death do us part, blah blah blah, which we know. I mean, that doesn't work out so well, it's anyway. So what are the actual, not the pie in the sky terms, but what are the actual terms of this
right,
marriage here? Like
yes,
I'm starting to get more convinced that like, yes, that's probably a very good thing to put that in writing of what are the realistic terms of this marriage? Because pie in the sky, we can do that all day, but we know how that turns out. Well, hey, that was Bradley Grunner from A Male Space talking about the state of marriage. What is happening with marriage today in our society? What direction should we head with marriage? Boy, that's good stuff. Good conversation. I'm liking this. We got to get it turned around. We are going to get it turned around because Christ is winning. He is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is the Postmillennial Man.